What is up, everybody? It's the Apothecary here, coming at you with yet another podcast. I know it's been a long time since I last did an episode, a few months at least, I think. And the reason I took such a long break is because I, had some stuff to figure out. I had to, I hadn't gotten into the groove of this whole thing yet. It was hard for me to kind of come up with ideas on a weekly basis, and then, record and edit and upload and do all that in a week. So, yeah, I kind of just took a break for a while to try to get the whole thing figured out. But, I think I've got it figured out now. I'm back. And a big reason that I've got it all together now is because I decided that what I need is what every podcast needs, which is a producer. So I'd like to give out... can't talk this morning. I'd like to give a shout out to this show's new producer, my good buddy Sam Hollar, who's going to help me kind of come up with ideas and help put the scripts together and everything like that. So shout out to you, Sam. I assume you're listening. If not, then... no harm, no foul. Today we're going to cover a topic that I chose because this is going to be a very easy topic for me to talk about. Although I may end up regretting choosing this topic later because, this may this may cause me to lose some followers. The three that I have. But yeah, today we're going to talk about my top 10 films that everyone else loves, but I hate. So yeah, I guess we'll just go ahead and get right into it. Please, I'm just going to say at the top of this thing, try not to hate me too much for some of these, because I know there are some in here that may piss some people off. But either way, here we go, hoping for the best. Let's go ahead and start at number 10, which is, I'm kind of cheating here on this one, actually. I'm kind of cheating on number 10 because it's technically two movies for number 10, but not really. It's every remake of A Star is Born. If you hear any background noise, by the way, ignore that. I haven't gotten set up in my new work area yet. I'm trying to set that up, a noise-free environment where I can record these, but I haven't. I just moved, so I haven't gotten that set up yet. So if you hear any background noise, ignore that. But anyway, every remake of A Star is Born, or specifically, because the point is to pick ones that everyone else loves, but I hate. So the 70s remake doesn't really count. I haven't seen it. And that's because I heard it's terrible, no one likes it, so that one doesn't count. I'm talking about the 50s version and the recent version with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. Already, I'm sure I've pissed quite a few of you off. But here's the thing. I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, they've remade this movie 3 fucking times. And none of the remakes have even come close. Like, how hard is it? You don't have to be as good as the original, but like, how hard is it to just like do a solid remake? That like, is it, if nothing else, good? It doesn't have to be as good as the original, but can you not at least make one that doesn't? Suck is a harsh word. The 50s one doesn't suck. I just didn't care for it, and I know that's like, the one that everyone loves, the classic one that everyone... But, like, it just goes to show, It just goes to show that if you make it a musical, people are already way more interested in it than if it's not a musical. I say this as a very bitter theater person. As a very bitter theater kid who never did musicals. But, yeah, it's like, oh, yeah, everyone remembers that one because of the big musical numbers. But, like, it didn't need musical numbers. Or if you're going to put musical numbers in there, like, have them have a point, It's just, like, the original was so great. The original, to me, the original Star is Born from 1937 is one of the greatest movies of all time, no question. It is an absolute masterpiece. And it was so, everything about it was great. You know, it was the perfect version of that story. It told that entire story as well as it could have been told, got everything out of the way, every detail of that story that needed to be shown was shown perfectly, you know, and it knew it didn't need to be like big and bombastic, you know, to make its point. It just needed to tell a good story. The 50s one is just like, well, let's just do the exact same fucking movie, but this time we're going to stretch it to 3 hours long because we have these ridiculously long and unnecessary musical numbers that stop the story dead in its tracks and contribute nothing whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever to the story. And it's, I mean, oh my God, the fucking, the fucking, you know, the big famous one, the Born in the Trunk number, you know, that song goes on for 20 fucking minutes. 20 fucking minutes. And it's completely pointless. Like, I'm just sitting there watching it like, Jesus Christ, would you hurry the fuck up? We're telling a story here. This has nothing to do with anything. And I get it. You're trying to show that she's like a big star now, you know? This is like the moment where she starts, you know, selling out the theaters and becoming a big star. You don't need to do that with a 20-minute musical number. You can make it a lot shorter and still get your fucking point across. But no, the whole point of that one was we got to be big and bombastic. Everyone likes musicals right now. We're trying to make more musicals in Hollywood. And it's like, I don't know. It was really pointless to me. And that one did have its merits. Like, I thought it was really well directed. George Cukor was a great director. And oh my God, Judy Garland and James Mason give two of the greatest performances I have ever seen, ever. in the whole history of cinema. Those are two of the greatest performances I've ever seen, and I have no fucking idea how neither of them won Oscars for that, because holy shit. As much as I loved Janet Gaynor and Frederick March in the original, I mean, as good as they were, that was one thing that this one did better. You know, was the performances. So yeah, it had its merits, but ultimately, I don't know. I just didn't care for it. Thought it was not nearly as good as the original, which again was like the perfect version of that story. And yeah, it was just like, hey, we're gonna, you know, just add a bunch of pointless musical numbers to it. Didn't get it. And then there's the new one, the one that just came out last year. Yeah, didn't care for that one very much either. I would use the word sucks with that one. That one kind of sucks a little bit. And you know what pisses me off is like a lot of my family members, you know, either saw it or told me they wanted to see it. And I was always just like, no, you have to see the 30s one first, okay? But before you go see the new one. Because, you know, this is something that annoyed me a lot about the new one, is a lot of the people who went and saw it and liked it and were crying over it were people who had never seen the original. And this was their first time being exposed to that story. So to them, they're like, oh, yeah, it's a great story. No, it's not. It is a great story, but you're seeing like the lamest version of it. You know, again, aside from the 70s version. But yeah, you're seeing the lamest version of it. Go back and watch the original. It's like when I was a kid, you know. When I was a kid, I loved the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, right? I was like, oh wow, this is great. I hate how everyone says this movie sucks. I really like this movie, you know? Because that was the only version of that I'd ever seen, you know, on the screen. But then the Daredevil TV show came out, and I was like, holy shit. Okay, no, that's That's the real version of it. That movie is not good at all. No, this is like, now that I've seen it done this well, that's how the new version and the original version of A Star is Born compare to me. The new one is so... To me, that one is honestly kind of the opposite of the 50s version. Because with the 50s version, you've got the story, which is good, but then you've got these big-ass musical numbers that stop the story dead in its tracks and serve no purpose and are the worst parts. But here, the musical scenes, the big concert scenes, are without question the best part of the movie. Those were the only parts of the movie I actually liked. They were phenomenally well shot, and you felt everything you were supposed to feel, when watching those scenes. Every bit of emotion that came through, during their performances in those scenes, you felt. But the rest of the movie, where they're supposed to be moving the story forward, and it's just the dialogue and the story moving forward, that sucks. It's really badly written. It's really just kind of stupid. And I bet you I can tell you the reason why. And this is just proof of what I've been saying a lot recently, which is nobody pays attention to the script anymore. Nobody pays attention to dialogue. It really pisses me off because that's the most important thing you have in a movie. You don't have a movie if you don't have a script. And no one pays attention to how well written a movie is anymore. And this movie's proof of it, because this movie is really badly written. And if you look at... Again, ignore the background noise. And if you... if you look at the writers of this movie, there are 3 of them. One of them is actually one of my favorite screenwriters ever, Eric Roth, who wrote a bunch of really great movies like Forrest Gump and Munich and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Lot of great stuff. But then, he's smothered by the other 2 writers. Bradley Cooper, who is not a writer. He's an actor and he's a good director, but he's not a writer. And Eric Fetters, I think was the guy's name, the third guy's name. Excuse me. Who has primarily specialized in writing cheesy, dumb Nicholas Sparks movies, which you can tell by watching this. So the input from those 2 clearly outweighed the input from Eric Roth. And once I found all that out, it wasn't surprising to me why the script was so bad. It was ridiculous, just really boring, just really awkward and badly written, just really kind of like whatever, and just like a disservice to the original story, and it's just weird, it's so weirdly paced. Like there's this scene where, because this scene happens in every one of the movies, where his drinking starts to become a problem and they have a big fight and they're kind of like on the outs, but they're trying to keep it together. And that the moment comes where he like really viciously insults her and he says all this mean shit, and it looks like they're on the outs. And 2 scenes later, they make up. And then they're fine for the rest of the movie. And I'm like, what was the fucking point? It's just, just a bunch of dumbass shit like that. And then, this is more just like a pet peeve of mine. In every remake of A Star is Born, the key is to make it the same story, keep the same key things, but make it different enough, so that it's its own movie. But, there are certain things that have to be in every version of the story because they're imperative. One of them is him drowning himself in the ocean, which they cut. One of them is I just wanted to take another look at you, which is the only thing they kept, thank God. And the other is, the famous line at the end, ladies and gentlemen, this is Mrs. Norman Maine. They didn't keep that. And that, I don't know, it really kind of pissed me off. Because I guess, I don't know, maybe they were trying to update it or something. I don't know, for some reason they just felt like they didn't need to keep that line in, but they did, because the entire point of that scene, of that line, is, it's not that she, can only identify as like the wife of Norman Maine. That's not the point of that line. It's not like an outdated thing, The point is that in that moment, she is like letting Norman's legacy. I guess he's not named Norman in this one. He's named Jackson in this one. Ha ha ha! Got the same name. But yeah. The point is, in that moment, she is allowing his legacy to live on through her. In that moment, he's dead, and the only way his legacy can really live on is if, she takes that moment to say, this is Mrs. Norman Maine. Let the world know that she's not going to forget about him, But instead they opt for a kind of sappy, performance at the end there. But I mean, I shouldn't say that. It was emotional enough, but I don't know. It just pissed me off that they changed that. But yeah, and like the 50s one, this one had its merits. Once again, the performances were outstanding. Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga, Sam Elliott, all phenomenal. And it was a very weirdly cast movie, like casting Sam Elliott in like a big mainstream movie like that in such a big role. I can't remember the last time anyone did that. That was very surprising, and I'm so happy they did it, because I hope this movie shows, what I've been saying for years now, which is Sam Elliott is not just a goofy dude with a mustache and an accent. Sam Elliott is a damn good actor. That dude can act his fucking ass off. And I hope this movie showed a lot of people that, because, oh my God, he was so fucking great. I can't believe this was his first Oscar nomination. That is so fucking crazy. And Lady Gaga was so surprising, too. When they cast her in this, I was like, well, I'm not going to say this is stunt casting, because obviously she could end up doing a good job, but obviously I've never seen Lady Gaga act before because she's not really an actress, so we'll see how this goes. She was fucking phenomenal. Very much deserved, all the attention and praise she got for that. And Bradley Cooper, as usual, crushed it. He was very, very good. Really portrayed the vulnerability of the character, very well. And he directed it really well too. That's another thing I'll say. He directed it really well. Like I said, the concert scenes, outstanding. Love the concert scenes. It's really about it. Really about it. Yeah, I just, I just can't stand any of the Star is Born remakes, especially considering how much I just absolutely love. Shut up, computer. How much I absolutely love the original and how perfect I think it is. So yeah, I guess that's it for that one. Now, on to number 9, which would be Dazed and Confused. Yeah, I'm gonna just let you know right now. This is not the only time you will see Richard Linklater on this list. I have never particularly cared for him. And granted, there are still quite a few of his movies I haven't seen, but based on the work of his that I have seen, I've never really been a big fan. And this movie is one of the reasons why. Yeah, not a fan of Dazed and Confused. If you can tell me what the plot of this movie is, please make an attempt. Please make an attempt to tell me what the plot of this movie is. I would love to see you try. This movie is so scattered. It's so just nothing. There is no plot. There is no structure. It is just 2 hours of a bunch of teenagers driving around and doing drugs and being assholes. And yeah, that's it. There's nothing to be invested in whatsoever. There are like 40 fucking characters in this movie, and every single one of them is an asshole. Like, there's no one to root for. Yeah, I just, it's very simple, the reason I don't like this movie. I probably won't make this one very long. It's just because there's nothing to it. No structure. I'm serious. There's nothing else to say. It's just like, but that's the thing, is like, everybody hails this as like an American classic. You know, it's such a classic. It's so great. This was like the movie that like really established Linklater as like one of the greats. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? This movie sucks. There's nothing to it. Like, unless, I mean, I don't know. It's ridiculous. And they do that thing, you know, I hate it when movies do, where they spend the whole movie basically doing nothing, but then they try to tie it together at the end with some bullshit half-assed like plot just to make it seem like there was a plot the whole time, you know, where at the end they're all on the football field and the coach shows up and he's like, what are you doing hanging around with these losers? You know, you need to start thinking about your future, thinking about if you want to hang out with losers like this. And the guy's like, hey, these losers happen to be my friends. And I'm just sitting there thinking, like, yeah, one of them happens to be an admitted pedophile, but whatever. Fucking Matthew McConaughey's character, who's hanging outside the bowling alley like, that's what I love about these high school girls, man. I get older, they stay the same age. Like, yeah, this is the guy who we really should be defending at the end of the movie here. Like, hey, they're not losers. You're the one with the stick up your ass, coach. Like, shut the fuck up. And like, why are you trying to do this at the end here? Why are you trying to make it about something when it hasn't been about something the whole movie? And fucking listening to Richard Linklater talk about this movie, it's fucking like, I don't know where the hell his head was when he was making this. It's just the stupidest fucking. He's like, well, you know, a lot of high school movies when I was a kid, you know, my high school experience wasn't like that. You know, there weren't any of the crazy stuff you see there, but we all really liked going to Metallica concerts, so I thought I'd make a movie about that. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I don't remember what the actual name of the band was in the movie that they had tickets to. It probably wasn't Metallica, but that's not the point. The point is that's a stupid fucking, like, what? What? Like, how about try making a movie with a plot, with interesting characters, with any kind of coherence whatsoever? Yeah, no. I mean, I don't really have much else to say about it except for that. It's just, I don't get it. I mean, I do get it. It's stupid, but you know, I don't get what people like about it. You know, it's just kind of nothing. So, yeah, that's really about all I have to say. On to number 8. And that would be Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Yeah, I can't be the only person who was absolutely terrified of this movie as a kid. I don't know why the hell anyone would show this to their kid. Oh, no, wait, no, I forgot. Because it's a whimsical movie. It's full of whimsy and magic and blah, 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 blah. Like, I'll never understand how this movie got the reputation that it has as being a whimsical movie. This movie is about as whimsical as a fucking haunted house, because that's what the chocolate factory is. It's a haunted house. And Willy Wonka is a fucking psychopath who murders children. That's what this movie is about. A psychopath who murders children. I'll never understand it, man. As a kid, it terrified me. As an adult, it's horrible. I still think that movie is horrible because, first of all, the movie is incredibly goofy. You know, I always thought the movie was really just kind of cheesy and goofy and whatever. I mean, oh my god, the fucking scene where like he wins the golden ticket and he goes home to the grandpa who's been bedridden for like 20 years, and he's like, "Hey, grandpa, I got a golden ticket." The motherfucker immediately stands up and is not only standing, dancing around the room like that just cured his terminal illness, like with no explanation. Like, what the fuck? And it's full of stupid shit like that. And seriously, it's a horror movie. He murders children. And for decades and decades, audiences have been cool with it. Because every time you bring this up, you say like, he murders the kids. Everyone always goes, well, they deserved it, you know? That's the whole point, is that they deserved it because they were being bad. I'm like, are you out of your fucking mind? The children deserve to be murdered. You don't have to say anything else. That's already a terrible thing to say. But the children deserve to be murdered because they were eating the candy while they're in a fucking candy factory? Are you crazy? Like, what? They're kids! Of course they're gonna eat the candy in the candy factory. Why do you think they're there? I mean, for fuck's sake, they don't deserve to die. I was having a conversation with my brother once about this. And he's like, I don't know if they actually die. I'm like, the one girl falls down a furnace. She falls into a fucking furnace. And then her dad dives in after her. Yes, they die. The one kid gets sucked up into the chocolate processing fucking plant. The one girl, and even if they don't die, they meet such cruel and horrible fates. The one girl is turned into a blueberry. The other one is like fucking 2 inches tall. And it's like, holy shit, this is so fucked up. I mean, Charlie and his grandpa nearly get fucking killed by the wind machine. And Wonka's reaction to this at the end is like, you know, I'm terribly sorry my wind machine nearly murdered you. He says, I'm gonna have to get someone to clean the fucking ceiling now because you bumped into it, you inconsiderate pricks. It's like, what? Okay, and he's yelling at him at the end like he's Mr. Moral High Ground, you know, like, you failed my moral test. You went off on your own and went in the fan, so, you know, and then he gives him the fucking thing and he's like, so shines a good deed in a weary world, and blah, blah, like he's Mr. Morality. You're out here fucking murdering children, giving demonic speeches in the demon tunnel like a psychopath. Yeah, never got it. I always thought that movie was really fucked. Always thought it was just really stupid. Yeah, it just made no sense to me why everyone always liked it so much, or why anyone called it whimsical when it's a fucking horror movie. Let's be honest, that's what it is. It's a fucking horror movie, murdering children. God, I'm just remembering now how much that movie scared the hell out of me as a kid. Oh, man. But anyway, on to the next one, I guess. Number 7, which would be Blade. I've come to realize recently what a passionate fan base the Blade movies actually have. Because when they announced the new one with Mahershala Ali, which I am so excited for, by the way. Everyone, well, not everyone, but the fans of this movie, got into an uproar because they're like, why do you have to recast it? What's wrong with Wesley Snipes? Why can't you? What was wrong with the old Blade movies? And I'm like, a lot was wrong with the old Blade movies. I'm only talking about the first one because I haven't seen the other two. But, oh my God, that first one is such a piece of shit. It is such a piece of shit. Like, I mean, it kills me how everyone is always like, oh, that was the movie. That was the movie that started the superhero trend. No, it fucking wasn't. No, it fucking wasn't. X-Men did it, and then Spider-Man helped shoulder it along. Blade did not start the superhero trend. It was a garbage movie, and it will always be a garbage movie that did nothing. And, it should come as no surprise, seeing as how it was written by one of the biggest hack screenwriters of all time, David S. Goyer, who I hate more than just about anyone else on the face of the earth. Look up his IMDb. It is nothing but garbage. The one good credit to his name was that he co-wrote Batman Begins. And who do you think, given his track record, was responsible for how good that movie was? Him or Nolan? But yeah, he wrote this, and it was directed by the highly acclaimed director of films like The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. So you can see why it, turned out so well. Yeah, it sucks. It's really stupid. Wesley Snipes is just, he's fine. But the rest of the movie is so fucking stupid. It's so fucking stupid. They just, I can't even... it's so dumb. It's so, late 90s cheese. Just, the dialogue is so damn terrible. The story, the weird-ass storyline with his mother is so fucking stupid. I mean, it's really hard for me to harp on this one excessively without, playing clips of the dialogue, because that's really the main problem with it, is it's just so badly written. And just so poorly put together. But, I never cared for it. Although I will say, it has the greatest, unintentionally amazing line in any movie ever, where he goes, some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill. It's the stupidest fucking line ever, and that's why it's the best. But, what the fuck does that mean? That's the line he has before he goes in to kill the final, to kill the main villain, And it's just what? But yeah, just really badly made all around. Really, really, really always hated that movie. Thought it was just, yeah. I mean, there's nothing else to say, really. Just, really badly written. And just really badly put together, and just dumb as fuck. Just dumb as fuck. If you see it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Hopefully, it is dumb as fuck. So okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 6, which would be this one I'll be able to talk about at length. Get ready. The Big Short. Yeah. Until the most recent Oscars, I didn't think that the 2015 Oscars could possibly be topped in terms of just how shitty they were. And even though I was proven wrong remarkably quickly with the most recent Oscars, the 2015 Oscars still remains one of the worst ceremonies I've ever seen, just because of how shitty all the nominations and the wins were. And it really set the tone for the night. Because when those nominations came out, the morning those nominations came out, I looked at them, and I was like, what the fuck is this? They left out, everything Like, all the best shit that came out this year didn't get nominated. They nominated all the wrong. Like, what the fuck is this? You know. But when I watched the ceremony, the night that the ceremony came on, I was thinking to myself, maybe it won't be that bad. You know, maybe even though the nominations are shit, they'll pick the right movies. And it really set the tone for the night when the very first award went to The Big Short for Best Adapted Screenplay. At that moment, I said, oh shit. We are in for a long fucking night. And we were. Because it kept that shitty tone all throughout. And yeah, to this day, it's been a while since that happened. And to this day, that is still one of the most baffling, inexplicable Oscar wins I have ever fucking heard of. The Big Short winning Best Screenplay. You know, to me, this is just me, of course, but to me, one of the key elements of a good screenplay, let alone the best screenplay, is that people are able to, at the very fucking least, understand what the hell anybody in the movie is saying. You would agree? Yes? All right. So when I saw The Big Short and I couldn't understand a single motherfucking word that anyone was saying, it never occurred to me in a million years that it could win Best Screenplay. That it wouldn't even get nominated. Because that's the thing. It getting nominated was stupid enough. It winning was unbelievable. When I was watching that movie, I couldn't fuck. It was like, literally, I'm not exaggerating when I say this. This is actually what it felt like. It felt like I was watching a foreign movie without subtitles. I'm not kidding. I could not understand a single fucking thing that any of them were talking about. Because, believe it or not, I'm not a Wall Street expert. Okay? I don't know about all that economic bullshit. You know? Like, as much as, like... And that's the thing, man. Like, Wall Street movies do that a lot, you know, where they have the Wall Street talk that not necessarily everyone can follow, but they explain it to you well enough, or they dumb it down enough to where you can, even if you don't totally get it, you basically understand what's going on. Like in The Wolf of Wall Street, there's literally a scene where he goes, like, he's explaining the whole thing, and he stops and he's like, look, I get that none of you are following this. Here's what you want to know. Was this legal? No, it's not, you know? They explain it for you so that you get it, you know? This movie does not at any point explain to you what the fuck any of them are talking about. It is as, like, it's like, seriously, and they do this stupid thing, because I'm sure a lot of you are saying right now, yes, they do explain it. Yeah, okay, technically they do, but they do it in such a stupid way where you still don't get it. They do this stupid thing where they'll be like, well, we can see that you're probably not following this. Here's Margot Robbie in a bubble bath to explain to you what this term means. And then Margot Robbie will show up in a bubble bath and explain to you what that term means, but here's the thing. Ha 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 ha, that was really funny. You had Margot Robbie in a bubble bath, but I still don't understand what the fuck is going on. Because here's how they do it. You know, she'll be like, so you're wondering what a flirderbaderb is, you know? Well, a flirderbaderb is like basically 6 bric-a-bracs. And I'm like, well, wait a minute, what's a bric-a-brac, you know? And they don't explain what that is. And they're like, well, you take 7 bric-a-bracs and you put them into a flick-a-flack. And I'm like, well, what the hell is that? I need to know what that is too, you know? And it's like the whole novelty of it is like, LOL, you know? But it doesn't explain it to me. And that's the thing, man. That's the whole movie, you know? That's the whole movie. And that's Adam like, oh, God. If we're making petitions now, all these dumbass petitions, you know, I may have said this in a previous episode, I don't remember. But if we're making all these dumbass petitions now, can we please make a petition to keep Adam McKay from doing any more dramas? Because I don't think he realizes that he sucks at it. And why would he realize that he sucks at it? He keeps getting rewarded for it. He won an Oscar for writing this movie. Oh my God, I hate him as a drama director so much. He is so about style and not about substance. And this movie was such a big testament to that. This movie was so pretentiously directed. Well, what was that fucking scene? There was like one scene, they're in the middle of a scene, they're in the middle of talking, it just randomly cuts away, and they have all these quick zooms and all this quick, fast-paced bullshit, and I'm like, what the fuck was that? That didn't need to be there. You're not being clever. You're just flashing the style in our faces and not giving us any substance. You can't do that. That was the whole movie. And that was the stupid, like, LOL, here's this person to explain this. Like, yeah, we get it. You're trying to be funny. You're trying to be stylistic. You're not... There's no substance, though. Like, he sucks so much. I wish he would just go back to directing comedies. Because, he's good at that. Oh my God. I used to love him back when he was a comedy director. Back when he was doing Anchorman and The Other Guys and like all those other great Will Ferrell movies. But now he's just doing bullshit like this. And he fucking sucks at it, but we keep rewarding him for it. So I would like it if we could just make him go away, please. If we could just make him like not direct any more dramas. That's not going to happen, but a guy can dream. And yeah, seriously, I just thought it was really absurd how this movie didn't even fucking try to like explain any of this shit. And I'm not exaggerating, guys. I was sitting there in the movie theater, and it really was like I was watching a foreign movie without subtitles. I had no fucking idea what any of them were saying at any given time. It was all just gibberish to me. And also, oh my God, fucking Christian Bale in this movie. I cannot fucking believe he got an Oscar nomination for this movie. He was so like, what? Apparently, that's all you have to do these days to get an Oscar nomination. Just cross your eyes and play the drums. Like, okay. That's all you got to do, evidently. I mean, if you're gonna nominate anyone for an Oscar for acting in this movie, like Steve Carell, maybe Ryan Gosling, but no, because did they play the drums? No. You can be the greatest actor in the world, but can you learn to bang on the drums for 2 minutes? No. Well, then that's why you didn't get the Oscar nomination. Fucking ridiculous, walking around a fucking business office in a fucking beach shirt. It's so stupid. And I get it. He's supposed to be eccentric, but he. Yeah, fucking, I've never, this will piss you off more than anything else I've said or will say. I've never been that big of a fan of Christian Bale, and this movie was just one of the most annoying examples of everyone overpraising him. And I'm not saying Christian Bale's a bad actor. I mean, when he wants to be, Christian Bale can be a terrific actor. His performance in American Psycho is literally one of the greatest I've ever seen. And he was amazing in The Fighter. He was great in The Prestige, Out of the Furnace. When he wants to be, he can be really good. But most of the time, to me, he's just, the biggest example of how, just because you're a method actor doesn't mean you're, on that highest level. You don't necessarily have to put in all that fucking effort, because sometimes, you're like Christian Bale, a guy who's trying too hard. And it shows. Yeah. So I guess that's it for The Big Short. Dumbass movie. Can't fucking believe it won. I mean, seriously, like, you would agree, right? You would agree, everyone listening, that you have to, at the very least, be able to understand what they're fucking saying in order for it to win Best Screenplay. How could you... I know some people can understand it. I'm sure the Oscar voters could understand it. Not everyone can, though. That's an issue. It is not the best screenplay if it is that dense and hard to follow. I mean, shit. But anyway, on we go to, what is this? Number 5. All right, number 5 would be, here we go. Boyhood. I told you this wouldn't be the last time you saw Richard Linklater on this list. Yeah. God. As annoying as it is for me that Dazed and Confused gets as much praise as it does, that's really nothing compared to the level of praise that Boyhood gets. It annoys me so much more the way people praise Boyhood. But here's the thing. I don't know if any of you guys know this, because this is something that people have never really talked about when it comes to this movie. But I guess I'll be one of the few people who's ever been willing to say this, because nobody else really talks about it. Did you guys know that this movie took 12 years to make? Did you guys know that? Because I've never heard anyone talk about that before. I've never once heard anyone really say how this movie took not 10, not 11, but 12 entire years to make. I mean, that really just, gives you so much perspective on the movie. I mean, sure, the movie sucks. Sure, it's like really flat, really boring. The character is the main character is really unlikable. It's really, really fucking long. Way longer than it should be. And the ending is one of the stupidest I've ever seen. But it took 12 years to make. So that makes it all okay. The kid at the start of the movie was a certain age, right? But then, by the end of the movie, that kid was 12 years older. And it was the same kid. Well, if that doesn't make this one of the best movies of the 21st century, then I don't know what would. If that doesn't mean that this is one of the greatest movies ever, that it should have won all the Oscars that year that it came out, I don't know what else constitutes all those things. Than it taking, again, not 10, because that would be a lot. Not 11, because, oh my God, that's even more. But 12 entire years to make. Yeah, this movie sucks. It really does. It's yet another just really pretentious Richard Linklater movie that gets way too much fucking praise because, oh my God, it took 12 years to make. Like, who gives a shit? Who fucking cares? It's not a good movie. Like, I mean, it's really generic. It's, again, like I said, it's really flat. He just took the most generic, basic ideas, and just peppered them throughout the movie and just progressively made the main character more and more unlikable until the end where he's this really pretentious asshole who's breaking up with his girlfriend because he's like, you don't get it, man. Like, Facebook is spying on us and shit. And I'm like, okay, all right, fucking Richard McCandless or whatever the fuck that guy's name was from Into the Wild. Yeah, we get it. And he's just like, I don't know. That movie was just so fucking stupid. There were so many storylines that just weren't resolved properly. I think they left some pages out. Because the mom storyline had such a bizarre fucking ending. Where her last scene in the movie is like, from this point on, my life is just gonna get worse. I'm just some old lady now. My kids are gone and I'm just some old... And I'm like, what? Was that the resolution of her fucking 12-year arc? was that it? Like, all right, that's an odd place to end. And then the fucking ending is just like, Oh, God, it's so stupid. He's fucking sitting there with his new girlfriend out in the desert. And he's just like, you know, they say that you gotta live in the moment. But what they don't know is that the moment, it lives in you. Roll credits. What? What? Fuck off, man. Like, that's as stupid as fucking, like fucking middle school poetry slam ass fucking trying to be deep. God, that movie's so stupid. Like, and again, it doesn't help that, like, it's really boring because nothing fucking happens. It's literally just like, whatever year we filmed this in, here's shit from that year. Here's shit from that year. Oh, here's a scene from, like, 2008 where they're playing the fucking Wii. Oh, you remember that, don't you, from 2008? You know, it's just a series of, like, remember this from that fucking year? And then them doing boring, really boring shit. and it's, like, 3 fucking hours long. So that really makes it worse. You know, you're just like, Jesus, can we just end the movie already? And they're like, nope. For some reason, we got to make this stretch out as long as humanly fucking possible. And it's just ridiculous. Yeah, not a fan of Boyhood. And Richard Linklater himself. Because here's the thing about him. I've always had a theory that, like, he doesn't understand why all his movies are considered so great either. He just goes with it. Because he has that kind of, like, laid-back sort of attitude, you know? And he himself said once in an interview for this movie, you can find the clip somewhere, I'm sure, where he goes like, oh yeah, everyone's always like, oh, 12 years. Well, what actually happens in the movie? Not much. And I'm like, the fucker just admitted it himself. You're all out here trying to act like this is some grand fucking epic movie, and people have described this as an epic. I'm not kidding. What is epic about? Nothing fucking happens. It's so boring. It's just, it was a project of his that it was an experimental project. He just wanted to shoot a movie over 12 years. He didn't really try to make it that deep, clearly. Everyone just ran with it. It's a gimmick. It's a fucking gimmick. You know? It doesn't help the story in any way. It's not the only time that this has happened where we've seen kids grow up like this before. Everyone acts like this is the first time that's ever happened. It's not. So, you know. I mean, honestly, like, I can't, like, if you want to see my thoughts on this condensed to about 3.5 minutes, go watch Red Letter Media's, the episode where they talk about it. There, you can find just the 3.5 minute clip if you look for it. Just type in Red Letter Media Boyhood. They explain it better than I ever could. They explain it as perfectly as I could ever hope to. Just every single thing that I feel about this movie. You know, it's just stupid. I'm tired of people fucking acting like it's anything special when it's just a stupid fucking movie that they shot over, again, not 10, not 11, but 12 years. And now the fucker's gonna shoot a musical. I don't remember which one. I think it was Merrily We Roll Along. It was some Sondheim musical. He's gonna do a movie version that he's gonna shoot over 20 years. So I can't wait for everyone to start calling that the best movie musical of all time. Because holy shit, you think 12 is a lot. 20? Whew, forget best film of the 21st century. Best film of all time. Right there. Excuse me. 20 years. Good God. But yeah. Anyway. Oh boy. We're really getting down into it here. With these last few. Oh boy, my hatred for each one just continues to increase. Number 4, Jungle Fever. Man, oh man, oh man. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. like no exaggeration. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life. How anyone, anywhere, has ever seen this movie and called it good, I cannot understand. This movie is a joke. It is a joke. I cannot fucking believe... Like, and for Spike Lee to make this was his follow-up to Do the Right Thing. He made this 2 fucking years after that came out. He went from making one of the greatest movies ever to making one of the worst. It's quite a change in terms of quality. This movie is so ridiculous, so goofy, so fucking scatterbrained. It's unbelievable. Like, fucking, oh my god. Okay, the synopsis on IMDb for this movie is, let me see if I can get it exactly right. Friends of a married black architect react in various ways to his affair with his Italian secretary. And that's actually a pretty dead-on accurate description of the movie. Because it's just 2 hours of people sitting around and discussing their thoughts on interracial relationships. Not much more than that. It's literally just about 2 hours of that. And then occasionally Samuel L. Jackson is being a crackhead. So, yeah. That's a pretty accurate description. There are scenes and scenes and scenes that go on, some of them for over 5 minutes, of people just sitting around and talking about their views on interracial relationships. And I'm like, what the fuck is this? This is not a movie. There is no story here. There is no plot. What the fuck is going on? It's ridiculous. And then, oh my god. Oh, the funniest fucking thing in this movie. Oh my god. Because, like, that's what most of it is. But then you've got the B plot with Samuel L. Jackson being a crackhead. And the funniest fucking part of this movie is Ossie Davis's character. Oh my god, Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee's characters are so unintentionally fucking funny. Ossie Davis plays a character literally named. He is listed as this in the credits. And this is the only thing they refer to him as. He is referred to as the Good Reverend Doctor. He does not have a first name. They literally just call him the Good Reverend Doctor. And of course, his last name is Purify. The Good Reverend Doctor Purify. And he gives one of the most over-the-top performances. And it's not his fault. It's the way the character is written. But, oh my god, it's so fucking funny. Spoiler alert here. Mute this for a second. Here's a timestamp or whatever to where you can skip ahead to miss this. One of the funniest fucking scenes I've ever... I laughed my ass off during the scene where he shoots Samuel L. Jackson at the end. I knew it was coming too, and I was like, I swear if he fucking shoots Samuel L. Jackson, I'm gonna piss myself laughing. And he did. He gives a big dramatic speech and then shoots for no fucking reason. It's so fucking funny. Oh my god. Every single scene with him is so fucking awful, but so fucking funny at the same time. The whole movie's a joke. Wesley Snipes, I don't know what the hell he was doing in this movie. I really don't. Because the acting for the most part is actually pretty good. But I don't know what the fuck Wesley Snipes was doing. Just... he talks in this very weird, pronounced, like, I don't believe a single word that he's saying, and he's forcing this very weird voice that he has the entire film. And I'm like, bro, what are you doing? Like, he's so over the top and stupid, and just the whole movie is so fucking dumb. Oh my God. I have never done this before. I would never do this unless it was for a movie this bad. Towards the last 20 minutes of the movie, I just got on my phone. I was just like, okay, literally nothing is going on. I'm not gonna miss anything. Because there's nothing happening. I just got on my phone. I was just browsing through my phone while the movie was playing. I've literally never done that before. But what was the point? It was torturing me, and there was nothing going on. So, but yeah, it is like bafflingly horrible. Again, one of the funniest scenes I've ever seen. The last scene of this movie. If you somehow manage to get through this movie without thinking that there was anything bad in it, even if you had problems, even if you got through it and you were kind of unsure of whether or not it was that great, but you had problems with it, but you were like, okay, no, I'm still with it. If you could get through the ending, that last scene, and still like it, I really don't know how you could possibly do that. I can't even describe it to you. I guess I should just tell you to look up the scene, but fuck it. Okay. So after all is said and done, Wesley Snipes, it's another morning in New York City, and Wesley Snipes goes into his daughter's room to wake her up for school. And she says, "Daddy, are you going to walk me to school?" He doesn't answer the question. He just leaves. It just cuts to him on the street, walking to work. And as he rounds the corner, a prostitute, played by Halle Berry, comes out from around the corner and says, "Hey, Daddy, I'll suck your big black dick for $20. And he goes, "What?" And then he pulls her in and gets her in this big embrace and goes, "No!" And fucking does this rapid zoom in on his face. And that's the last scene of the movie. It cuts to black and the credits roll after that. Oh my God. I had to rewind that 3 fucking times. It was so fucking funny. I was like, what? What the fuck are you doing, Spike? What are you doing? Oh my God. And I was just like, how the fuck did he make this 2 years after Do the Right Thing? It's impossible. Oh man. It just a terrible movie. Just such a terrible movie. And I completely forgot about the dumbass plot with fucking John Turturro. Yeah, again, which is more of just them sitting around and talking about their views on interracial relationships. And I'm like, yo, we've heard this already throughout the whole movie. We don't need to hear any more of it. And he's got this bullshit fucking... Again, it's one of those things where there hasn't really been a plot for the whole movie, but they try to tie it together at the end and try to make it look like something was going on. Where he tells Anthony Quinn, "No, I can't just do what you want me to do. I gotta be my own person," or whatever the fuck. And I'm like, what? Was that what your story was about, John Turturro? I don't think so. But yeah, God, what a piece of shit. Seriously, I have no fucking idea how that movie got any acclaim whatsoever. The one good thing we got out of it was that was Samuel L. Jackson's breakout role. So yay! that's one good thing among many bad things. So let's move on here. Oh boy, we're in the final 3. Oh boy, and these three I do very much hate. I do very passionately hate them. So let's get into it. Number 3 would be The Man Who Wasn't There. Now let me take this opportunity to tell any fans of this movie who are yelling at me right now that you're wrong. This movie, oh my God, you want to talk about one of the most unintentionally funny movies. Like, holy fuck. This movie, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't know. Oh, I really don't know what the fuck the Coen brothers were thinking. I guess they probably must have been like high on OxyContin or something when they wrote this. They must have just been huffing oven cleaner. I don't know. But this is, again, like no joke, one of the worst movies I've ever fucking seen in my life. Where do I even begin? Well, I guess, first of all, I'll just start with this movie, believe it or not, for those of you who don't know it or haven't seen it, has a pretty devoted following. There are a lot of people who think that this movie is actually really good and really deep and really profound. And it just goes to show, man, this is a problem that I have with the online film community right now, and it's the reason why I'm no longer a part of it. Why I choose not to really engage in any discussion on the internet, or in really most film circles. It's because of people like the people who like this movie, who don't actually know what they're talking about, who, act like they know about movies, but really they're only a fan of these kinds of movies. And the reason that they're only fans of these kinds of movies is because these movies are deep. These movies mean things. They have a lot of symbolism and a lot of, like stylistic bullshit in it. And it's like, that's all that a movie needs to be good. I don't actually have to know anything about movies. I know, that it's deep because it's in black and white and because all this symbolism is in it, like the bullshit with the flying saucer, And I can't stand it. I can't stand it. Like, these fucking people, these jerkwads who fucking jerk off to Fight Club every time they watch it, it's like, please go away. You are making film discussion worse. You are making the internet an intolerable place for people like me. You have driven me from it. Please stop looking at movies like this and acting like they have any value whatsoever. This movie is so fucking stupid. It's almost like it's a parody. It's almost like they could not possibly have meant for this to be taken seriously. But because of all the fucking symbolism and all the deep bullshit, it's treated like it's a good movie. None of that equals good. There is literally a scene in this movie where Billy Bob Thornton, this is some of the worst writing I've ever heard. I'm not kidding. Where Billy Bob Thornton's character is a barber, right? And there's literally a scene in this movie where he's cutting a person's hair, and he turns to Michael Badalucco and he says, "You ever think about how hair is a part of us and we just cut it out of ourselves?" And Michael Badalucco goes, "What? What are you talking about?" "Hair. It's a part of us. And we just cut it out, throw it away like it's nothing." I'm not kidding. That is actually a line from the movie. People think this shit is deep. That is some of the worst fucking screenwriting I've ever seen. And the whole movie is full of shit like that. And I'm just... What the fuck are you talking about? It makes no fucking sense. Like, hair is a part of us and we just throw it away. What? And then you got this stupid... It's so nonsensical. It's so nonsensical. Like, somehow... Like, okay, so Billy Bob Thornton, like, commits all these crimes and he murders James Gandolfini and he tries to cover it up. And somehow or another, Frances McDormand gets blamed for it. And she's the one being put on trial for his murder. So they hired Tony Shalhoub to be their lawyer. And it's the most baffling thing I've ever seen, because Tony Shalhoub is just like, all right, so what are all the things that happened? We need to get our defense ready. And she's like, well, here's all of what happened. And he's like, no, that's no good. That won't sell. We need to make up a story that will sell. I'm like, what? He's like, how about this? This happened, and this happened, and this happened instead, and this is the story we're going to go with. And I'm like, bruh, I am not a legal expert by any fucking means, okay? I am not a legal expert by any fucking means, but I am pretty motherfucking sure that you can't just make a story up. There is evidence, and you have to tell. You can't just... It's one thing to lie about what happened, but if you're doing that, you're lying based on the evidence that has been presented. You can't just make shit up. It doesn't fucking work that way. And it makes no fucking sense. And then, like, oh my god, I could just sit here all day and name examples of all the bullshit in this movie. Again, one of the funniest fucking scenes. It's so bizarre. Where, okay, so there's a part where Billy Bob Thornton is mentoring Scarlett Johansson, who when this movie came out was like really young. She was only like 16 or something. So she plays a kid. And he's like mentoring her on how to play piano in a subplot that ultimately goes fucking nowhere. And they're driving back. She had this like audition for this big shot, like, you know, piano guy. And they're driving back. And as they're driving, I'm not making this up, she attempts to blow him while he's driving the car. And he's like, what are you doing? Get off of me. You can't do this. You're just a kid. And she's like, but I want to do this I want to suck your dick while you're driving the car. And then this, of course, causes him to lose control of the car. And he crashes. And before he crashes, he says, cheese and crackers, heavens to Betsy. And then crashes the fucking car. And I'm like, what the fuck? This is so stupid. Like, again, I fucking died at that scene. That was so dumb. And then Scarlett Johansson fucking dies in the car crash. It's so fucking unintentionally funny. It's like, what are we doing here? What are we doing with this fucking movie? And like... oh my god, the whole thing is so fucking stupid. Okay, to top it all off, the funniest scene in the movie. It's hard to pick one because that was a really funny one. The haircut scene was a really funny one. If I had to pick one though, it would undoubtedly be the fucking scene at the end where they finally catch him and he's on trial and Michael Badalucco, just out of nowhere, just punches him in the face and knocks him to the ground. And as over the top as he could possibly be, just goes, what kind of honestly like he was directed to say it as over the top as possible. What kind of man are you? And the movie's so fucking dumb. It has no point. It's just Billy Bob Thornton creepily just like sitting and smoking a cigarette and, you know, saying some dumbass shit like the barber thing. And yeah. Okay, like, it's so fucking dumb. And then at the end, it's just they're really just trying way too hard. Again, it's symbolism. The spaceship shows up, and I don't get it, but I know that it's deep. I know that it means something. It doesn't mean anything. What the fuck does it mean? It means absolutely fucking nothing. It's pretentious. It's stylistic. They're just trying to make you think that it fucking means something. It's nonsense. The whole fucking movie is nonsense. It's so fucking goofy. And I'm barely scratching the surface here, guys. I mean, I would say you have to see it to really know for yourself just how bad this movie is. But then I would be doing a public disservice and telling people to go watch this movie, which I would never encourage anyone to do. It'll be a waste of your time. It was certainly a waste of my time. It was so unbefucking-leavably bad. And, yeah, just totally nonsensical, and I hated it, and it was really dumb. So, yeah, that one is really up there with, like, my all-time, like, most hated movies. And I love the Coen brothers so much. They're two of my heroes, you know? But, jeez, they really dropped the ball on that one. When they fail, when the Coens fail, they fail hard. They don't fail often, but when they do, they fail hard. So, yeah. Down to number 2. You're just going to get more and more pissed off as they go along, and I'm sorry. But here we go. Number 2 is Good Time. A fairly recent one, all things considered, but I really, really, really hate this fucking movie, and I'm absolutely tired of it getting all the praise that it gets. And I'm tired of people acting like the Safdie brothers are anything other than a couple of lugheads who don't know the first fucking thing about how to make a movie. That's all they are, as this movie so clearly proves. You want to talk about pretentious, stupid, and with no point? Well, here you go. And this may shock some of you. It may shock some of you that I hate this movie at all, considering how acclaimed it is. But not only do I hate this movie, it's one of my top 5 most hated films ever. Of all time. I have only walked out of a movie theater, I think, about 4 times. This was the most recent time. Yeah. It's been about 2 years. How about that? Since I last walked out of a movie theater. Yeah. I walked out of this one roughly about 45 minutes to an hour in. So I know a lot of you are saying, well, you didn't stay and see the whole thing. Why? You can't really accurately judge it. I would be very, very surprised if it got, just all of a sudden, right there at like the 45, 50-minute mark, just got better. Just stopped being one of the biggest pieces of shit I'd ever seen. I'd be very surprised. And I know how it ends, because my brother, I saw it with him, and he stayed through the whole thing, and he told me how it ended. And it sounded fucking stupid. But yeah, the camera work was absolutely abysmal. It was so damn close on the actors' faces, you could practically see their breath on the fucking camera lens. It looked like a monkey shot it, honestly. And then it was just really badly acted by, well, okay, Robert Pattinson was good. But oh, poor Jennifer Jason Leigh. She was, God bless her, she was so bad. And then, oh my God, my favorite, okay, well, first of all, before I get into that, I'm gonna just talk about how all the bad things. It was unbelievably badly written. None of it made any fucking sense whatsoever. There's a part where he's trying to get his brother back because his brother has been hospitalized. So he's trying to get him back. And he goes into the hospital where he's at to try to get him back. And he goes into a room. Doesn't check to see who's in the room. Doesn't get verbal confirmation from the guy in the room that it's his brother. Doesn't ask anybody, hey, who's in this room? Just snatches him right out. Takes him back to a nearby apartment. Not his, by the way. A random lady's apartment. And just camps out there. And then inevitably finds out once he gets there that he took the wrong fucking person. Because of course he fucking did. He made no attempt whatsoever to check and see if it was his brother. And then once he's there, he proceeds to make out with the lady who's staying there. He proceeds to make out with her 15-year-old daughter. Very likable protagonist, am I right? You can really root for this dude. But yeah, and then he goes on about, God, the fucking writing is so bad. He goes on about all this pretentious bullshit, you know why I think you like me? I think because, in a past life, you were a dog, and I was a dog, and, something you like dogs, and it's all related to, our spiritual purpose. He keeps bringing up his fucking spiritual purpose and all that stupid bullshit. And I'm like, okay, yeah, no, this isn't the least bit pretentious and stupid. And it's just a series of bullshit. It looks so fucking ugly. Which I know is the point. But it's nauseating. The color palette in this movie is fucking nauseating. And I don't know. I don't find that particularly pleasant. I don't even think it's achieving any kind of an effect. It's not helping the movie. It's just making me nauseous. It's not boosting the dark effect of the movie. It's just making me nauseous. And yeah, it's just really fucking stupid. And oh my god, the fucking guy. My favorite part of this movie is my man. I don't know what the fuck the actor's name is. My man that he steals out of the hospital with the fucking thick ass Brooklyn accent, bro, what are you doing, bro? That fucking guy. Oh my god, my fucking guy. Who were you? How did you get in the hospital? Well, I could just tell you really quick, but let me give you a fucking 10-minute flashback that doesn't need to be that long and is really irrelevant and just goes fucking nowhere. Let me tell you through that. I jumped out of a fucking cab going 50 miles an hour and still fucking lived is the end of it. That's the end of the story. Okay? And then at the end, the fucking guy climbs up the building and just fucking falls off the side like a dumbass. And it's okay. The whole movie is so fucking dumb. And it's just, I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it. I had to leave. So yeah, that movie is stupid as fuck. I don't understand why it's getting so much praise. It's archaic. It's just completely nonsensical. It's random. It's very incompetently shot. And their new movie looks like the exact same fucking movie. So I guess they're just one-trick ponies. The fucking Uncut Gems, that's what it's called. It looks like literally the exact same fucking movie all over again, except this time Adam Sandler's in it. So, and as much as I want to see Adam Sandler just going batshit in this movie, I'm not going to put myself through that again, because I have no desire to see this movie a second time. I couldn't even get through it all the way the first time. So, yeah. Oh boy, here we go. Number 1. the most overrated movie of all fucking time. The movie that everyone else loves that I hate the most. You ready for this? American Beauty. Those of you who know me well know how much I hate this movie. Excuse me. And those of you who didn't know that about me are possibly quite surprised right now. Because American Beauty is generally considered to be one of the greatest movies ever made. Which is a crock of shit because it's one of the worst. God, wow. Wow, do I even have the energy to talk about this at length? Let's find out. This movie is a train wreck. It is a colossal train wreck. I hate it very much. It does absolutely everything wrong. It has one of the worst and most pretentious scripts you'll ever see. If you can make it through the fucking plastic bag scene without either laughing your ass off or being so fucking disgusted by how bad the dialogue is that you turn off the TV, then congratulations. You're going to have to teach me how you can do that. Because I can't. I mean, I did because I saw the whole thing, but I don't know how. Yeah, that is obviously, to me, the dumbest scene in the movie. I don't even know if it's the dumbest scene. Maybe I just think it's the dumbest scene because that's the scene that everyone calls the best scene. Literally, if you haven't seen it, fucking Wes Bentley just sits there and gives a monologue about a paper bag. Oh no, it's a plastic bag. I'm sorry. A plastic bag floating in the wind. And he says, whenever I feel down, I watch this video of a plastic bag floating in the wind. And it just reminds me how much beauty there is in the world. In fact, I can't take it. Bro, it's a fucking plastic bag. There's nothing less deep in the fucking world than a plastic bag floating around in the wind. And that is just a small fucking taste of how the rest of this movie is. Kevin Spacey's character is one of the most unlikable. What a selfish... We're supposed to root for this guy. Like, this pathetic, selfish asshole who basically becomes like a massive dick to his family is like shoving plates off the table in the middle of dinner and saying, no, we're going to do things around here differently now. We're going to do things the way I want, being just like the biggest dickhead. Falling in love, this, I'm sure it could be a bit triggering, talking about this now. Kevin Spacey falling in love with a minor, because that's what the plot of the movie is. So again, makes him so likable. And yeah, of course he doesn't go through with it, but the fact that he spent the entire movie pining after her doesn't really make us want to root for him. The bastard is just like imploding. He spends the whole movie imploding, but we're supposed to see it as like, no, he's finally finding himself. Yeah, just like Walter White was finally finding himself. The dude was imploding. Just like Kevin Spacey was here. And it's so stupid. The whole movie is so badly written, and it's, again, one of the most pretentious fucking movies. So heavy-handed, so over the top with all its bullshit. And it's just like, it's so fucking ridiculous. It's so pretentious. I can't fucking stand it. I cannot fucking believe it won an Oscar. It won like all the Oscars. It swept. It won Best Picture, Best Director, Best Screenplay, Best Actor, and I'm just like, you're shitting me, right? In a year when The Green Mile and The Sixth Sense and Magnolia came out, and The Matrix, you're gonna give it to this piece of shit? Oh man, that's how you know you found one of the worst. Like, one of your absolute least favorites is when you're still mad. You're actually, like, angry after it's over. I was legitimately angry for a good half hour after I finished that movie. I was like, wow, that was such a piece of shit. What a pretentious fucking movie that was. Oh my god. Fuck Alan Ball, the guy who wrote it. Just, oh, what a hack. So yeah, not a big fan of American Beauty at all. Absolutely hate it. It really upsets me that, like, I can't. There's so many instances where I want to go in deeper, when talking about this, but, like, it's hard for me to just keep saying the dialogue is bad. The dialogue is bad. Like, you have to see it to know what I mean. I can't remember every specific example, especially since it's been such a long time since I've seen it. I can only remember certain scenes, but yeah, oh man, it was so fucking bad. And yeah, that's the main thing I can really say, is that it was really pretentious and just really badly written and just really just not nearly as good as it thought it was and as good as everyone else thought it was. And even Sam Mendes admitted at one point in an interview, he was like, yeah, even I thought it got a little bit too much praise. I kind of figured that this would happen eventually, where people would start to realize it wasn't as good as they thought. And I'm like, well, there you go. The fucking guy who directed it saying that. I mean, yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. Like, again, in my top 5, fuck that. That's probably in my top 3, like, most hated movies, like, ever. Either top 3 or top 4. My God, what a piece of shit. Yeah, which is saying a lot. If it's in the top 5, that's big enough. If it's higher than that, oof. But yeah, I guess that's it. That's all 10 of them. Feel free if you want. I mean, please don't. But if you want, leave a comment telling me how wrong you think I am. I'm sure there are plenty of you who think I'm wrong about a lot, if not all, of the movies I just named. So yeah, but next week, I plan on doing the opposite. I plan on doing the top 10 movies that everyone else hates, but I love, and hopefully that will go over better. I feel like that will anger you less, but who can say? So yeah, I guess now I'll go ahead and do my Apothecary Recommends. And this week, I am going to recommend a movie called Out of Sight. This is one of my favorite movies. It was directed by Steven Soderbergh, who, if you've never seen any of his work, please do yourself a favor and familiarize yourself with his work. Start with this one. This is one of the best movies of his I've seen. So, yeah, he's done a lot of great stuff, and this is one of them. And it was written by one of my favorite writers who I've mentioned before on this show, Scott Frank. So that's a winning combo. But the plot is basically George Clooney plays a bank robber who has just escaped from prison. And Jennifer Lopez plays the U.S. Marshal who is assigned to bring him in. And they meet up at the beginning as he's escaping the bank. I mean, the prison. And he takes her hostage, and they share a moment, together. And from then on, they can't get each other out of their heads. They become like sort of infatuated with each other, but it's sort of like an impossible romance because they're on opposite sides of the law. And meanwhile, George Clooney and his buddy Ving Rhames are trying to pull off a job, but she's trying to catch him, and kind of a cat and mouse type situation. It's really good, really good movie. Can't recommend it enough. So yeah, just check that one out if you can find it. Hell, I saw it was on HBO the other night. So, I don't know, look there, or just anywhere. But yeah, so I guess that's it for this episode. I'm going to be a little whore now and tell you to like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that bullshit. But please do. Please do like and subscribe and ring the bell and all that bullshit, because that means that I get more views, and that means I have more validation because I have more people liking my stuff and following me and being interested in what I have to say. So, and that's what we all want at the end of the day, right? So yeah. And also follow my Instagram account. I'll put a link to that in the description. And yeah, I guess that's all there is for this episode. Take care, guys. See you next time.